More rainy. Still working. Welcome back to the channel and the 2-acre pond build we have going at our hideaway here. This episode, we face challenges with not only water but power as well, and shows the importance of having quality neighbors that are willing to help. We'll also have to make an executive decision on something with our old pond that we had built just over a year ago. You can see me walking up the hill here, just trying to give it some perspective as to how large this hill is actually going to be. We had originally planned on the hill only being 8 to 10 feet tall, but soon after they started excavating, we realized that this amount of dirt came out of a 5-foot deep pond, and we were aiming for 12 feet or more. That means a lot more dirt had to come out of this pond, which means that hill has to get a lot bigger. We went from a beautiful day to an unfortunate night when we realized we most likely have a leak in our yard hydrant that's at the front gate. When the guys were leaving that evening, I noticed the ground was a little bit spongy, and as the night continued, I noticed this waterbed effect that just kept getting worse and worse. I ended up digging this out to find that there was a leak in the yard hydrant elbow that I suspect came from when they drove the dozer in. All that weight most likely collapsed the ground around it. This is a common failure point for those yard hydrants. day appears, bringing some sun, and the machine's back at work. And as they say, bad things usually come in threes, and this was strike 2 for us with the electrical problems. I will save you guys the long-winded story here, but at about 3 o'clock in the morning, we woke up to a noise, which ended up being the oven going in and out of power, and then everything in the cabin shut off. I went out to the sub panel, flipped the breaker back on, and then we realized that only half of the cabin was working. After a couple days of trial and error and voltmeter testing, we realized that one of the hot legs was probably bad on the wiring running to the cabin from the sub panel. After some help from Chase the electrician and Brian our neighbor, we were able to get it replaced with a machine that shows where the current stops in an underground cable. This was fantastic because the alternative would have been to rebury $3,000 to $4,000 worth of wire, as well as put it in $1,000 worth of conduit. What we think is what was the cause of this is either in manufacturing or delivery when the freight people dropped it off, or even in the installation when I buried it, it got a small nick in the wire. And over time, it rains, and obviously that percolates down into the ground. It found its way to that nick, and electricity and water obviously do not mix, so over the course of the past year, it has just completely corroded it in half to the point of failure. I do want to add in here that obviously I am not a certified electrician and do not take this as electrical advice, but what we found out through the help of our electrician friend Chase is that each hot leg runs every other space in a breaker panel. So what we did was rearrange all the breakers in the panel to give us power where we needed it when we needed it. For instance, the kitchen and having power for appliances. And then there's number 3 of bad things come in threes. We had spoken with the pond builders more extensively about the old pond and its condition, and it was at a high recommendation that we just fill it in order to prevent complications with the old pond leaching water out of the new pond. They also said that they could keep them disconnected, but we did not like the idea of having 2 separate ponds so close together. This was obviously a major heartbreak for us because we had just spent so much money building that pond just a year ago.
Alright, nice.
That's going to do it for us on this episode. It is cold and wet. We appreciate you guys watching our videos, and we look forward to catching you on the next one with hopefully better weather in store.